Honored to be here today. So this is your official hello and welcome. On this afternoon, I just want to introduce myself, give a couple preliminaries, and get right out of the way. So my name is Patricia Brewer, and I'm a member of Interfaith Tabernacle Church here in Trenton, New Jersey. And it is my pleasure to welcome all of you today who have made an effort to join us at this joint City Council at Large Forum held right here in Trenton at the historic Galilee Baptist Church. So our thanks to Pastor Harris, who is the pastor here, letting us have this space. And it is our pleasure to be here. We are here to listen, to learn, and we hope that some of the information that's going to be distributed and talked about today is going to be useful to you. We are going to have a conversation with the candidates in advance of the runoff election that's going to be held on Tuesday, January the 24th. So I hope that you all get out and vote. On today, we want to acknowledge our sponsors. It may not look like it, but it takes a lot to pull something like this together. And we want to thank the focus group on antisocial behavior, the community stakeholders for the Trenton Public Schools education. We also want to acknowledge the Trenton Central High School Junior ROTC. You see the fine men and women who are giving out programs in the back, our cadets who are serving as hosts. And so we bring you greetings on this afternoon. Also, we have in the audience some local dignitaries that we want to acknowledge. Senator Shirley Turner is here. Our Mercer County Executive Brian Hughes is here. And we have community activists from various churches that are here. I'd like to thank Pastor Daniel Cardona. There's also representation here, Pastor Jose and Lydia Rodriguez from Iglesia Pentecostal. My own uncle, Pastor Mark Broach, is in the audience from Trenton Deliverance Center. Again, Pastor Harris, our host, Reverend Darrell Armstrong, who is the pastor of Shiloh Baptist Church, Elder Raymond Broach, who is from Trenton Deliverance Center, and Pastor Barbara Brewer of Interfaith Tabernacle Church, who is an awesome pastor, my mom, and my wing woman. We are honored to have them here. It takes a village, and we need everyone to get involved, and we thank our leadership. We are honored to have our moderator, Andy Armstrong, right here. She is a member of the League of Women Voters in Somerset and Hunterdon County. So she is with us and is a trained League voting moderator. She has served as moderator for congressional, county, municipal, and Board of Education candidate nights. She has proudly earned the New Jersey League of Distinguished Service Award. So we are proud to have her serve, and she's going to keep everybody honest and keep things on target. Also assisting today is Crystal Scheibel, who is in the front. She is our timekeeper from the League of Women Voters in the Princeton area. And we thank them both for their service and being here. I do want to make a quick note. We have this forum so that you can ask questions, and no question is silly. All questions are going to be honored. If you need a pen, a note card, Chester right there in the checkered shirt who's waving his hand can pass those out. So if you need anything, raise your hand. We want to give time to have the questions, and he can help to facilitate that. Let him know if you need a note card or a pencil. At the conclusion of the program, I'm going to return to the podium after the Q&A session, and I'm going to introduce, who needs no introduction, but I'm going to introduce Reverend John Harris. We'll have him do our closing comments. At this time, I'm going to take my seat as Ann comes to the podium, and she gives us our rules of operation for today. Please give her a hand clap.
Thank you, Patricia. All right. On behalf of the sponsors of this event, I'd like to welcome you to the forum for the runoff election for the at-large seats on Trenton City Council. As mentioned, my name is Ann Armstrong, and I'm a member of the League of Women Voters of Somerset, Hunterdon County, and am not a resident of Trenton. The League of Women Voters is a nonpartisan political nonprofit organization that works to empower voters and define democracy. Elections and voting are core concerns for the League of Women Voters. The League of Women Voters never supports or opposes candidates for office or political parties. Any use of the League name or of footage from this forum in campaign materials, literature, or advertising of any kind, including but not limited to internet, cable, radio, or television, has not been authorized by the League of Women Voters. Any recording of this forum must be used in its entirety. As a courtesy to the candidates, please turn off all cell phones and other electronic devices now. Please refrain from photographs and recordings. There are designated teams that are here that will be live streaming the forum and recording it for viewing after. I just want to make another note that I'm serious about the devices. It is important that we're all on the same page and that you shut things off. I don't want to have to call you out. All right? We have with us today vying for 3 at-large seats on the Trenton City Council, and there are 5 of them here today. There's one of the candidates had a death in family, and she could not be here. All right, before I introduce the candidates, I would like to explain the format. Each candidate will give a brief opening statement. After the opening statements, the candidates will be asked questions in rotating order. All candidates will have the opportunity to answer each question. Each candidate will be given a set time to answer each question. Responses are being timed by a person sitting up front. After the question and answer period, the candidates will each give a brief closing statement. Since this is a timed event, and many of our candidates are double booked for today, any audience applause will lessen the time provided to the candidates. So please hold your applause until the end of the forum. The candidates for at-large Trenton City Council are Alex Bethia. I knew you were going to tell me, thank you, Bethia. Jay-Z Edwards. Jazzy Edwards. That's going to be hard. Crystal Feliciano. Yasminelli Gonzalez. Kaja Manuel. And Tywanda Terry Wilson, who is not with us today. We will begin with the opening statement of Alex.
Good morning, thanks. My name is Alex Bethea, and I'm running for Councilman at Large for the City of Trenton. My wife and I, 43 years, live on Cadwallader Drive. We own our home, and we're Christians. We have 7 boys and 2 daughters. And my wife is a graduate of Trenton Central High School, and my children are graduates of Trenton Central High School. They were all born here in Trenton. My wife went on to graduate from the University of Pennsylvania, and so have 5 of my sons. So we are committed to the city of Trenton. We've been wrestlers in the city of Trenton. We have 19 Mercer County championships, and we started the Trenton Youth Wrestling Program, and we have over 100 students show up to Rivera School 2 weeks ago just as a free clinic because in Trenton, wrestling begins in 9th grade. And you can't win a state championship. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Next is Kaja Manuel.
Good morning, everyone. I got you. Thank you. My name is Kaja Manuel, and let's check this off. I'm ballot position number 2 on the ballot for the January runoff, and born and raised right here in Trenton. And I'm a recently returned vet. I returned home from service in 2019, and it was my same steadfast belief in democracy and always fighting for what is right that led me to run for public office here in my hometown. And that same steadfast belief and always standing up for what's right, regardless of how popular and popular that is what led me to call on my running mates to fight for a runoff. And here we are today. I'm alongside 4 other great candidates, and thank you. And yeah, if there's one thing I want people to know about me is that I'm a freedom fighter. There's a great quote, I can't credit who said it, but as long as people have fear, we are never truly free. And thank you.
Thank you so much. Yasminelli. That's better. Gonzalez. Sorry. All right.
Good morning. Do I need it? Can you hear me? No.
Use it. Was it technical difficulties?
Good morning. Hi, everyone. I am Yasminelli Gonzalez. I am number 3 on the ballot for the runoff election. I am a child of God. I'm a proud Puerto Rican woman who grew up in Wilbur section, lived out South Trenton, currently live in West Trenton, regardless of what you may have heard. I also am an educator of 20 years. I have coached the cheerleading team. I'm a member of Delta Sigma Theta. I'm a community servant who is looking to serve the community in a different capacity. As most of you know, I've been here all my life. I'm committed to the city of Trenton. I have shown time and time again that I can control my emotion and do what is best for the city of Trenton. I have collaborated with 2 other phenomenal women who are on this panel, and the city spoke on November 8th, and we are hoping that you guys will come back out to speak again and voice your concerns and voice your votes. Count your votes again for us in January 24th. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Crystal Feliciano, running for Trenton City Council at large again. And so, I'm an educator at Trenton Central High School. I'm a community activist and advocate. I have been around. I'm a member of Calvary Christian Fellowship Ministries, where Pastor David A. Cox is my pastor. I am no stranger to our city. I'm no stranger to the work that needs to be done and the issues that we face every day. I live on the island in West Trenton. However, I've been born and raised in the city. Looking forward to January the 24th, looking forward to working with whomever is elected, but I am with Yasminelli Gonzalez and Jossie Edwards as we push forward again, hoping to secure your votes once more for Trenton City Council at large. Thank you.
Jossie Edwards.
Good morning. Thank you all for coming here on this Saturday morning in Not Robbery to be with us and exercise your rights to vote. My name is Jossie Edwards. I'm a candidate for City Council at large. I'm a 34-year-old mother of 2, born and raised right here in the city of Trenton. I was homeless here. I suffered from job loss here. I went through a lot here with people, and I turned my life around. I got things back on track. I've been working for Congress for 8 years for Bonnie Watson Coleman, our first African-American woman in New Jersey to be elected to Congress. I am her senior constituent services representative, but before then I was, or still am, a city activist and advocate against gun violence, advocating against socioeconomic disparities that Trenton suffers from day in and day out. And I'm just asking for your support, and I'm asking for your support for my running mates, Yas Gonzalez and Crystal Feliciano as well. Thank you.
Thank you. All right, it is now time for the questions. All candidates will have the opportunity to answer each question. Based on your knowledge of the Faulkner Act, what do you believe is the role of City Council at-large members in representing their constituents citywide? Katja Manuel, we'll start with you.
Yes, thank you. I think the Faulkner Act is pretty clear. The role of City Council, regardless if you're at large or a ward member, is to be the checks and balances to the administration. Make sure that we're, spending responsibly when it comes to taxpayers' dollars. But the role is, I would say, pretty unique in terms of at large, because we were not confined to just a ward. We have to listen to the concerns of the entire city. And while if you're a ward representative, you vote, you still vote on initiatives and resolutions and ordinances that affect the entire city regardless. But yeah, I think we're just not conformed award, but being the checks and balances, investigating where money has been spent, and making sure that our taxpayers get some sort of relief, and make sure that the taxpayers' dollars goes right back in their pockets.
Thank you. Next is Jossie Edwards.
Not to sound cliche or repetitious, but it is the role of the city council at large representatives are the checks and balances of the administration, and we are citywide advocates for every last Trentonian, advocating for their needs, their wants, and their passions and interests on that dais, on those conference meetings and those public meetings. So we or city council at large representatives have the power to vote on ordinances and resolutions, and also introduce ordinances and resolutions to the table as well. So, and reaching out to other people outside of the city to bring more resources here. We have the power to advocate for better resources as well. So that's what city council at large is.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano.
So Trenton is governed by the Faulkner Act. It's a mayor-council form of government. And so it is council's position where we would work with the administration to make sure, excuse me, that things are in line, that funds are allocated appropriately, that they're being spent as they're supposed to be. What is the plan of the administration for the city, and are they carrying it out? If constituents have concerns, then yes, we are there to listen, and we are there to direct them to the proper departments within City Hall that will help them, and then follow up to make sure that that help does happen. It is not the council's job to play the position of the mayor. The mayor is the mayor, and he oversees the daily operations of the city. And council, we would oversee to make sure that what they're doing, it adds up, it's right, it's for the people, right, and that Trenton benefits overall. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex Bethany.
Thank you. I ditto what has been said, and I also think it's unethical for the mayor to endorse candidates because they are the check and balance, not unless he wants a rubber stamp. And sometimes if you are giving something, you want something, and it's called quid pro quo. So that may be a little legal, but I would be remiss if I didn't mention my mentor, Dr. Page, who hired me for the Trenton Board of Education in 1975, where I served 40 years with the Trenton Board of Education as a teacher, as an administrator, a coach, a disciplinarian, you name it, I did it. Thank you so much.
Thank you. And last is Yasminelli Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you for that question. So it is a mayor council of, mayor council is, the Faulkner is the mayor council, and we do have to be the checks and balances for the mayor. Yes, if a mayor does publicly endorse a candidate, it is not that the candidates are rubber stamps. We are here to make sure that they hold that mayor accountable as well and do what is best for the city. It is, what I want to say is making sure that we do make informed decisions on what is being brought forth to council, not just because someone publicly endorses you or whatever. It is the fact that if that makes sense, and it is, we make these informed decisions that we are doing what is best for the city, and making sure that we are the checks and balances, make sure we are holding our department heads accountable and the mayor accountable as well. Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. The next question, and if any, I mean, some of them are short, but if there's a longer question that you want repeated, by all means, just ask. Okay? Kaji, you have a problem?
Oh, no, I think
You want to share?
her microphone.
All right, thank you very much. Second question, or the next question. The state of New Jersey certified the 2022 amended municipal budget in November. What portion of the budget have you reviewed? Alex Bethea?
I thought you said you were going to start each one of them. No, just the answer to the question, the perfect answer, I have not reviewed it, but I want you to understand, be clear, that the budget is one of the most important things that a council person can do to help balance that budget along with the mayor. I've read bits and pieces in the paper where the last budget was not balanced by the council and the mayor, and I think the state or somebody had to come in, the state had to come in and kind of help balance that budget. Thank you.
Next, Yasminelli Gonzalez.
Thank you for the question. So clearly that the budget is the most important responsibility, I believe, as a council member, that we must thoroughly check through the budget and make sure that we have in-depth conversations with our department heads as well as our administration, just to see where we can save money, move monies around, and make sure that it's allocated appropriately to the actual departments to make sure that we are addressing the needs of the city of Trenton. I do know last year that the one, we should be approving a budget in a timely fashion, not at the end of the year. And then two, I know that last year the budget was about $226 million. And I know that for the most part, I haven't reviewed the entire budget, but I do know that there are some areas, like I know the education department was allotted $25 million, which we obviously know that we may need more than that. And then also fire was about $28 million. So I haven't reviewed it in its entirety. However, I have looked at certain departments just to see where we can save and where we can make sure that we're investing in the areas that are needed to be invested in, as most importantly, our education. Thank you.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano.
So the question was, talked about the state of New Jersey's 2022 amended municipal budget, right? So I have not reviewed the state's amended budget. I have been following the city's municipal budget, and as a matter of fact, it just was passed the other night by resolution, a temporary budget amount of $47,211,500. And in that budget, it showed the different departments as to where the monies would be allocated. As we move forward in this walk and becoming council at large, it would be incumbent upon me and the rest to make sure that we do review the budget, the figures, the allocations of where the mayor and his administration would like the monies to go, to make sure that the services that the constituents need are being provided and that the money is being used appropriately. Thank you.
Thank you. Jossie Edwards, municipal budget.
I did not thoroughly look through that amended budget, but I did take a glance at it because I've been comparing it to the budget that was first proposed at the beginning of the year that did not get passed. And I was comparing it to the 2021 budget. And, in the midst of a runoff and having to work and get back out here and campaign, so I squeezed in some time. I do want to point out some things in the budget that I think that we should focus on in the future is our revenue loss to litigation. We get sued a lot in the city. We spend millions of dollars per year on settlements. And that's something that we need to stop. And maybe it would be trainings, mandatory trainings for employees, because we had a lot of sexual harassment claims, a lot of employee claims from injuries and things like that. So I think trainings should be included. And we have a lot of losses in parking. So we have a lot of losses in revenue, but we do have surpluses from Trenton Waterworks from collecting those things. So I do want to point out some things. My whole thing is making sure that money is being allocated to the needs of the community.
Thank you. Katja Manuel.
Yeah, what Jossie said and everyone else that spoke before me, a budget is a moral document. It's basically what the legislators have agreed on, saying this is where your money should go. And at times, the budget doesn't reflect A, what the residents want, and B, what the administration has set their plan out for. Now, I haven't reviewed fully this 2022 state-imposed budget, but as Crystal mentioned, the budget was just passed a few days ago, and I feel like it's the administration's job to make sure that when they hire directors, those directors know how to create budgets. This past year, we've seen budgets come across the council, and they were so jacked up to where they couldn't pass the budget. They weren't budgets. I know soldiers downrange that have hand receipts, almost to the dollar, that are just as important in money as our municipal budget, who are 21, who could budget and account for items. So we need to make sure that the directors that we approve can pass a municipal budget and make sure that the money goes right back into the people's hands, how they want it. And thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What are your recommendations for increasing underfunded departments, such as inspections, zoning, parks and recreation, to improve the delivery of services? Josie Edwards, you're first. Need me to repeat it? Talking about increasing underfunded departments.
I think the plan should be for the 7 council members to show the public and show DCA that we can do a good job, that we are fiscally responsible, that we are professionals, and that we can work professionally with the administration and serve correctly, and gain back that trust so that we can get more funding from the state. I don't think that Trenton's issue is a money issue. It's a leadership issue, and it has been for at least 12 years. We have had former council members falling asleep in the chambers. We have had coming to fist blows. We've had people using derogatory language. We have not had the work being done for us, and therefore we cannot get as much money as we should be getting from DCA. So I think that we need to do our jobs first in order to increase these budgets in each of these departments.
Thank you.
It's a leadership issue.
Katja Emanuel, you're next. Sure. What are your recommendations for increasing underfunded departments?
Great question. I think we need to start off with a forensic audit, see where the money has gone in the past, and if we see any line items that we can go, why did we spend $200,000 on this? We can start taking money from places where it shouldn't have gone and start spending it responsibly. In terms of park and recreation, I'd like to note that our last council turned away $5 million that could have gone to our parks and recreation. One thing I can tell all y'all is, these people up here, none of us would turn away $5 million for our great city. But I think it needs to start with a forensic audit, see where money has gone in the past. Also look at grants. Are there any grants that we can apply for? Positions like grant writers for certain departments are basically imperative for us to succeed as a city in the long haul. Thank you.
All right. Yasminelli Gonzalez.
Thank you for that question. So yes, looking at it goes back to the budgeting and having that in-depth sit-down and conversation to see where we can save and where we can allocate funds. I'm sorry, guys. I'm not. It goes off. I'm sorry. So to see where we can actually save dollars at and invest it in where it should be going. I'm a true believer in what do we truly value, and if we truly value the people, then those funds will go to the appropriate locations that they're supposed to go. It also is not eliminating a blockage of funding and grants that has come before council. As stated before, we've had several millions of dollars come before council, and it has been voted down only simply because of personal agendas. And so that is something that I know that we can all put our personal beliefs aside and make sure that we're welcoming that money so that we can actually put it where it needed to go. And I believe that with Parks and Recreation, yes, it goes just back to being responsible as far as where our money is being allocated.
Thank you. Alex Bethea?
Yes, again, a good question. As the administration set forth the budget before City Council, there's line items that the council will go through. And as usual, and it should be, public safety is the largest part of that budget, as it should be. But sometimes there is a mismanagement of funds, as been indicated, and we have to be diligent in making sure that that the money is spent as it should. And that's the job of the council, so that we can hold the administration of council accountable, and each director will have a budget that they submit before council, and we go through the line item and we can determine when that money is mismanaged. Thank you.
Crystal Feliciano.
Thank you. So I would say, how do we increase underfunded departments, it would be, again, I would be interested in looking at the grant monies that the city has gotten in, and if we've given money back, because there's money that has been given to the city that would be earmarked for certain developments and projects, right? And so some of that has been used, but much of that has not. And so why is that? So we need to look closer to see what is the city doing, the leadership. I agree with that. What are you doing to make things better? Getting more properties and things on the tax roll. Like, what are we doing to attract businesses to come in, right? So that we can develop. What are we doing as far as the blight? What are we doing to replace these abandoned homes? Let's tear them down. Let's get it fixed up so that people can come in. People want to invest in the city to pour more money into the city, which will help us to generate revenue that we need to help these departments and the like. Thank you.
Okay. Next question. Can you share with us some of the investment decisions you support from the Capital City Redevelopment Corporation's updated Renaissance Plan to fuel economic development within Trenton's Capital District? So we're talking about the Renaissance, what you feel. Do you support the updated Renaissance Plan? Yasminelli, we'll start with you.
Thank you for that question. So, in order for our community to be economically viable, right, we have to make a huge effort to work on the community engagement and economic sustainability. And as far as the Renaissance Plan, as that I am not thoroughly knowledgeable in that area, I will say that it is all about, we want to invest in, and we want to make a thriving city or have a thriving city and attract people here. We must properly invest in it. And so that is with all areas of our city of Trenton. I mean, that's the cultural aspect of it. Our capital city investments, we've had investments come into the city. Investors want to come into the city as far as the print sale, and things have been blocked. And we have to stop blocking the investments that do want to come into the city and making it, building a rapport with these people so that way we can build our city up for everyone here and make it equitable for everyone to live in. Thank you.
Thank you. Katja, Manuel.
Thank you for your question. Yeah, you guys hit the nail right on the head. As soon as you asked the question, I thought about the Prince Tale deal when it went wrong. When the past council turned down the Prince Tale, a lot of businesses and developers didn't want to come into Trenton. But I spoke with an employee of the Economic Development Department last night, and people are trying to buy back in Trenton without a full council. We've got 4 members elected, and people already see the hope and what good can happen when you got people who not only support the mayor, but also hold him accountable and his administration accountable when they don't, come to task. Can you repeat the question?
Sure. Talks about the investment decisions you support from the Capital City Redevelopment's updated Renaissance.
Thank you. I too haven't thoroughly reviewed the Capital City Redevelopment Renaissance Plan, but one thing I can tell you is I support any redevelopment and businesses coming into Trenton where the residents benefit the most. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, Dale?
Yes, I had an opportunity to take a bird's eye view at that plan, but I'd like to flip the question just a bit because I'm not in total agreement with the plan, because the plan looks from the outside coming in. My perspective of an economic development plan is the inside that's already here. Some of those blighted properties, let's fix up, let's redevelop what we already have, and let's use resources and help persons who have been living here own their own homes.
Right.
And fix up some of these houses. And we had a plan 30 years ago, maybe 40 years ago, I think it was through ours, where we helped low-income people fix up homes at no cost and put them back on the tax roll. That's my perspective of an economic development plan for Trenton, New Jersey.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano?
So I would echo those sentiments that have been expressed here. Working from the inside out, but also looking to bring in other businesses that will help the city to grow and to thrive. I have not looked in depth at the plan, but I do support anything that is going to, one, be legal, make sense, help our residents, and help the city to grow and to do better. As a matter of fact, we have a whole Trenton, 250 master plan. I haven't heard anything about that. It seems like we kind of got away from it, right? And they said in 2042, right, by then we would be known throughout the region as an attractive, resident-friendly urban environment where students are prepared to make these decisions and we're going to thrive and partner. What is going on with the plan? Where is that as far as the businesses and things like that? We keep moving from plan to plan to plan, but we never follow through on the first plan that we paid for to be drawn up in the first place. And so by looking in as council to see and follow back to make sure that the administration follows through, then hopefully we will be able to help get things in place to help Trenton thrive.
Thank you. Jossie Edwards?
I do have to educate myself more on this Renaissance plan, but from first glance, I do agree with some of the investment decisions that's going on, and then with the Trenton 250 master plan as well. I think that our focuses should be on developing our waterfront and tapping into our most valuable properties that we can't get to because the state is in the way or Route 29 is in the way. So I definitely support that. Revamping our downtown and getting other businesses, higher end businesses coming in. I don't have a stranger danger mentality. I understand that economies thrive from mixed incomes, from mixed businesses and things like that to attract more people into downtown and fix it up. So working on our revenue, bringing more businesses into the city and working on a revitalization that's going to produce taxes, jobs, that's going to focus on economic revitalization, that Vogling Block 2, the cluster of 7 blockbuster buildings in there that we could not sell to Princeton. We had a recent minority-owned business that was voted down. We had to be more responsible.
Thank you. Councilman Ellie, you doing that again?
No, that's not me. That's the podium.
Next question. Let's go back. What have you all done to educate yourselves on current city businesses? Are you so that you are prepared on day one? Alex? Bethea? I'll repeat it again.
I'm not sure I understand your question. What are we
What
doing
have you
for
done?
current city businesses?
Yep.
Businesses that are already here in the city of Trenton. And I'm not sure what the range is, but there is a good friend of mine who has a business downtown. Big Easy and I patronize him every opportunity I get. And so I do personally try to spend my money in Trenton with businesses that are already established here, instead of going outside of Trenton, because I do understand when I invest in the city of Trenton, that helps everyone that lives in Trenton. So I haven't done a survey or research on all of the businesses and how we could benefit them, but I invest in Trenton all of the time.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano?
Okay. So I frequent the different businesses in town quite often, right? I love the Skillet, plug for them, I love them. El Sabor Latino, One Up, One Down Cafe. I move around throughout the city, right? Because I like to eat. And so in going around and talking to the business owners to see what's going on. As a matter of fact, when One Up, One Down Cafe that had opened had been robbed, I went in and had a conversation with the owners about it, and we talked about what surveillance equipment they could put in to help better suit them and what it is that is needed. I'm all for growth and development in the city. As far as the downtown businesses go, I love downtown, but what does the Trenton Downtown Association do? I'd like to see them a little bit more engaged in promoting and pushing what's going on with our businesses so that we are all more aware of what there is to be offered, as well as bringing more people in. Thank you.
Yasminelli Gonzalez?
Yes, thank you. Could you just repeat that, because I think I misunderstood the question.
What have you done
To prepare for day one, correct?
to prepare for day one, and what have you done to educate yourself on current city businesses so you're prepared for day one?
Thank you. So I would say that, one, I have been, obviously paying attention to a lot of the previous council meetings that have been going on. I have recently taken some courses at Rutgers University in government just to prepare myself to know what is the duties and responsibilities of a council person, just to make sure that we're doing everything correctly. And then I was going to say that also with the city business, I have been just trying to pay attention to what is being, what are the ordinances that have been brought forth to council and how are they being voted upon, and just making more informed decisions. If you were speaking on the business, I took it as you were saying, being prepared for day one, and I was gonna say, there's a lot of things that we don't know. We're all fairly new to this, and I think that just being more knowledgeable, reading on the Faulkner Act, reading on the Robert's Rules of Order, and just make sure that we're doing the things correctly and not having a power trip once we get there.
Thank you. Katja, Manuel?
Thank you. I too, at first misunderstood the question. But
Yeah, I didn't.
oh, is it about being prepared for day one?
What have you all done to educate yourselves on current city business
Oh,
You said businesses.
so that you are prepared on day one?
Got it. That's a good question. I was going to go somewhere else with this at first. But that's what we do here at ACT. Being a millennial and one of the youngest, one of the two youngest people on stage, I know we have the sort of the perception of my generation of feeling like we know everything. But I'm the first to admit I don't know everything. And that's why, there's a saying that I believe in, it's a blessing to be around your seniors. That's why I'm happy to run alongside Alex Bethea, someone who was elected as an at-large councilman in the past. I also look for mentorship and assistance in my peers who are elected throughout the state. She and I, we have friends who are councilmen in New Brunswick, a deputy mayor in Evesham. There's a lot of other young people stepping up, a part of this new generation of leadership that's really going to move not just Trenton, but New Jersey forward. So I put myself through something I call council school. I called on all my friends and people I know, friends of friends who are newly elected, and asked them, how do I become successful? Not only how do I become successful, how do I prepare?
Thank you. Jossie? Edwards?
How have I prepared myself for day one? I've been attending city council meetings for a long time, and not just during the election, but throughout the years, long before COVID when things were in person. I have been keeping my ears on the ground, my eyes in the community, and what I like to call the trenches, where the underserved people are, so that I can address their needs once on that day is. I have been attending the New Jersey League of Municipalities for the past few years, attending their sessions, not the parties. I'm going to figure out how you can bring state and federal resources and county resources to the municipal level, so that when we're in on that day, is I know how I can advocate, I know what type of things I can do, how city council functions under the Faulkner Act, under the Robert's Rules of Law, and I purposely align myself with people that I can learn from, because like Kaja said, I don't know everything, and I want to know everything so that I can pass this information back to the rest of my generation, and those ahead of us too, because civics has not always been a part of our education.
Thank you. All right. Since I misread the question, if any of you would like to respond to it again, feel free. Crystal, Feliciano, go ahead. Same time limit.
Thank you, because I misunderstood. Okay, so to prepare for day one, having conversations with the different department directors. I've asked questions about different services and the like. I have also volunteered and worked with different department directors on different initiatives through when they went through COVID and things like that, right? What are we doing in recreation to help better serve the youth? Going to city council meetings. On the platform that I'm on, I even would stream the city council meetings so that the city would be educated on what was going on with the city council meetings. Listening and paying attention, reading up on the Faulkner Act, looking through the Gann book on Title 40 to find out what is and is not permissible to be done by administration in department oversight and the like. Just preparing myself to be ready for when January 24th comes and we're re-elected to City Council at large. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Yeah,
Alex Bennett.
thanks. I think I misunderstood the question along with
Everybody.
Crystal. And I think she nailed it. I think she nailed it on the head. But to answer the question specifically for myself, I want to be clear that I spent 8 years on the council. So I'm ready to go, fired up and ready to go. I understand the process and I'm ready to go. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Anyone else would like to reset the question again? All right. Next question. I'll read it more carefully. All right. What is your position regarding a proposed ordinance from the current city council to take over the redevelopment function of the city? Kaja, it's first to you.
I actually support it. At the time, it was unpopular because we had a legislative body that was a little dysfunctional. They weren't always doing what they needed to do, but I support it. What this past week have shown with the 2 meetings is that we've got people already, as Alex said, fired up and ready to go and to do the business of the city. Not just that, with the amount of turnover we've had just in that office alone in the past 4 years, the city's not doing a great job. It's not personal. Trenton is a business. We pay taxes to them. Trenton is a business. The mayor and his administration are the CEO. And the council, we control the operations. Yes, we're to support the mayor and the administration's plan, but we have to hold them accountable and say, hey, when this ain't working, it ain't working. And when you drive through some parts of, my home ward, West Trenton, and in other parts of this town, you can see it hasn't worked. Not just this past 4 years, but for 30 years. So I support it. Towns like Ewing have actually converted to that plan since 1998, and that they've brokered tremendous deals.
Thank
so
you.
I feel like we're about 25 years behind.
Jossie, you're next.
I do need to be honest and say that I need to learn more about this situation. Because from what my understanding is, according to the Faulkner Act, that City Council is supposed to be the redevelopment board or the function for city. So due to the misunderstanding, I believe that most recently the Director of Economic Development had just lost the position because of the Faulkner Act. I could be mistaken about that, but that was my understanding of it, and I would do my due diligence to learn more about what it is supposed to be as far as whether it's supposed to be a director and what his or her role is supposed to be and what City Council's role is with economic development so that we can get it right.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano.
So to Jossie's point, if the Faulkner Act calls for it, then it should be so. If not, then if we put a director in position to assume the role over housing and economic development, then it should be someone who is qualified to do the duties of the position and make that happen. Why would we have a separate authority when we pay a director to be in position to oversee it to be done? And so again, if the Faulkner Act would call for it, which I'm not sure of, then I would say then that would be the answer. But if not, then we need to have someone capable and competent in position that can move that mission forward. Thank you.
Alex Bethea.
Thank you, Tim. The redevelopment piece is an important part, but I would like to add this to it. I'm a strong proponent of accountability and transparency. If you have transparency and you hold people accountable, then you will eliminate half of the problems that occurs. Now, as Kaiju alluded to, we're here today because I'm gonna put him on the spot, took the initiative to go out and force the issue so that we could have a runoff. Other than that, it was a done deal. somebody messed up, somebody should be held accountable. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Yasminelli?
Yes, thank you for the question. If we want to create a thriving Trenton, right, we have to truly invest in the revitalization of this city and redevelopment of the city. We have to keep in mind those who are, we have 62% of renters here in the city of Trenton. So if we want to redevelop, we want to increase the home ownership here in the city of Trenton, we have to actually truly invest in those areas. So I would support any person who is qualified. I am not a developer. I'm not pretending to be this expert in that. So therefore, if we know the rules according to the Faulkner Act and what is legal, what is our role and what is their role, if we have someone in place that is hired and qualified to do the job, I think we should be trusting in that person and holding them accountable to redevelop our city so that way it's equitable for everyone here who lives here in the city of Trenton. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question. What will you do, if anything, regarding police reform? Crystal Feliciano, we're starting with you.
Gotcha.
I'm like my students, I be looking down. I escaped it for a while. Police reform. I believe that our police officers need adequate and appropriate training to be able to deal with the population in which they serve, right? I believe that they should be held accountable and to a standard where when we look at the news, we're seeing a whole lot of things that are taking place that are making us very concerned. And there's some things that the police can tell us, and there's some things that they cannot, simply because of investigations that are being had and the like. And so we are a town full of people that we want to know, we want to hear, we want solutions, we want you to tell us, but the fact of the matter is in some cases, they cannot. We need to have officers and things in place that are going to do the job, that are going to respect the citizens in which they serve, and that they're going to be fair and unbiased in how they deal with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Yasminelli Gonzalez, police reform.
Yes, thank you. One, we all know that this isn't just a city issue, it's a national issue that we're facing. One, I respect law enforcement, and I believe that it's imperative that we do have a strong community rapport with our law enforcement officers. We have to make sure that we are funding them properly so that they can effectively be trained and have an ongoing training, because things are changing. The world has changed. Things are not like they used to be back in the day. So therefore, our training needs to be consistent and ongoing so that these police officers are able to engage with the community. I have also believed in partnering our youth with our law enforcement where they have a dialogue and know that these law enforcement officers are humans. These students and these young people and our people in the city of Trenton are humans, and therefore we develop that relationship. I think we will have a stronger community base and rapport with our law enforcement officers, so that it's not always a negative interaction. And as like I said, we've seen across the world, it's sometimes viewed as negative, but our police officers are here, and they're here to protect and serve everyone in the city of Trenton.
Thank you very much. Alex Bethea.
Again, a good question. It's a complex question and will take some time to really reform that. But I said this when I was on council 8 years ago. If we start trying to recruit from within, kids from the high school, go to Trenton High School and have those plans and try to encourage those students so that your police force will reflect your community. Try to get your police force to live within the community so that people will know and develop a relationship with those officers, because I think they do a good job, many of them, and then other times they don't have those sensitivity trainings in order to deal with people of different ethnic groups. Thank you so much.
Jossie Edwards.
I would like to echo those sentiments. As a gun violence activist for over 10 years in the city, police reform has always been at the top three of the discussions across the nation. So having a civilian review board is something that I would love to recommend for our city. Just connecting the people to the police department and providing that oversight. As city council is the checks and balances to the administration, I would love to see a CRB being the checks and balances to the police department. And that's not to say they need a babysitter or a helicopter mom or anything like that. That's to say that you're here to serve and protect us, and we want to make sure that police brutality isn't happening, those sensitivity trainings are happening, and making sure that police misconduct is handled accordingly and not swept under the rug as it has been for a long time in the city. And I want to also say we need the youth involved, and not just the good ones, but the ones that are at risk. Those are the most important ones, and they don't have
Okay.
access.
All right, thank you very much. Kaja, Daniel?
I echo the sentiments basically of everyone who went before me. Big one for me is accountability. And I too support a civilian review board, but not just any civilian review board, a review board with subpoena power. And it's too easy. This can be, comprised of 7 individuals, the mayor picks 3, the council picks 3, and 1 council member sit on the board just like they do other boards throughout the city. And I also believe we need to move from our current model to an office of public safety. Have a police chief and a fire chief report to 1 public safety officer, 1 office, everything's comprised, but that would require additional funding. Funding for training, funding for any programs that we try to create. I also believe that we do need youth more involved. Create some JROTC type program for individuals who are 18 or around that age in high school where they want to segue into public safety, but they can't because all the positions are taken by people who live in neighboring municipalities. So, accountability and creating a program for our youth to get involved early on so they don't have to wait, 10 years when a civil service exam opens up. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right, ladies and gentlemen, because the candidates are double booked this afternoon, this will be the last question before the closing statements. What are the financial benefits associated with the New Jersey Water Bank and funds available through the Infrastructure Bank and New Jersey Department of Environmental Protection programs? So we're talking about financial benefits from the New Jersey Water Bank, the iBank, and NJDEP. And Jazzy, the first one is yours.
What's it called again? Look, what's it called again?
Y'all a tough crowd. It's a tough question. The financial benefits from the New Jersey Water Bank, I definitely have to do my research on that. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to know the answer to it. I do know that the previous council has voted down 8 out of the 10 resolutions or ordinances that have come across the dais that has caused the domino effect of negative things that happen at the Trenton Waterworks that ultimately caused the oversight from the NJDEP. So I do know there's things with that, and I do know that the federal government has been allocating funds to replace lead pipes in Trenton and Mercer County, about $5 million or so. So I do know that there are some things that are happening, but I am definitely interested in learning the answer to that question.
Thank you very much. Kaja, Manuel?
I repeat the sentiments of Ms. Edwards. Tough question. I'm not too familiar with the New Jersey Water Bank, but what I can say is Trenton Water Works, we have a surplus, and that's why it's imperative that we don't sell our pipes. That's one of the few things that keeps our bills paid here in the city of Trenton. But getting to the answer is not a difficult feat. I personally know Commissioner Sean LaTourette, he's friends of me and Tom's, but trying to get to the answer is too easy. Whenever the council members, we don't know an answer. I feel like it's not our job to know everything, but knowing how to find that solution is too easy. Going to the state, say, hey, Governor Murphy, we need a little more information on this. Hey, DCA, we need a little more information on this to make the best data-informed decision for our residents.
Thank you very much. Yasminelli Gonzalez.
Yes, thank you for that question. I too am not familiar with the financial benefit water bank, but that is something that I will look into so that I'm more knowledgeable and educate myself in that. But I do know that the Water Department Environmental Protection, they have a team of advisors that will make recommendations and that would help address the issues that we are facing here in the city of Trenton. We have failed to monitor the water quality and invest in required maintenance for our water department. And we just really need to make more informed decisions. So something like the water bank that you just said is something that we need to make sure that we know what it's all about, what it entails, so that we can help fix the lead service line, make sure that we have the proper water maintenance, and address those concerns that we have here in the city of Trenton, and also make sure that we have high quality testing capabilities for our water department as well. Thank you.
Thank you. Alex, about that?
Again, I have to admit, I'm not too familiar with that particular question, but I do know that we have a water filtration plant here under our authority here in the city of Trenton. It's our greatest revenue generator in the city of Trenton. And we have to do a better job, according to the media, of making sure that that runs efficiently and effectively, because we service other municipalities that depend on us to provide them with clean and water that is suitable for use. And if we're not doing that, we're failing them, and we're failing ourselves, because I think we can get more benefit and increase the revenues if we do a better job at running that plant. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Crystal Feliciano.
And so I'm going to echo the same sentiment that everyone has said. And I work part-time at Trenton Water Works, so I'm like, water bank. I'm a part of the Water Alliance board, though, where we sit in on meetings and everything, and I'm not even sure if this targets what your question is even asking about this water bank. But I do sit on this board where we talk about helping the people and how different municipalities and things come together to capture monies that haven't been paid due to COVID and the like, or people that are having problems monetarily, to help try to fix that. I know that we have a smart meter program that we're looking to put into position that's supposed to be able to help with dealing with employees going out in funds that we have been expending on the people, supposed to be quicker and easier with that. And I do know that NJDEP is in giving recommendations and things on how to streamline and make things better when it comes to the water overall and other departments in Trenton Water Works, if that has anything to do with the water bank. Otherwise, I have to read up on it. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to inform the audience that if you did not hear your specific question, it's because we've had duplicate questions in the topic and the issue, and we try to consolidate it as much as possible in a given amount of time. We will now have the candidates' closing statements, beginning with Crystal Feliciano.
Again, I'd like to thank everyone for coming out today. Thank you to the Lawrence League of Women Voters for putting this on, the League of Women Voters for making this happen. Thank you and to the collaborative efforts for everyone here. Thank you to Pastor Harris for hosting us here today. And thank you to all of you for spending time with us. I'm hopeful that you have gained some a deeper knowledge or insight into who I am, into what I do represent. You can find other information on me at www.crystalfortrenton.com. I am on Facebook under Crystal Feliciano, also Crystal for Trenton. I'm around in the community looking to do a great work and service for the city of Trenton if given the opportunity. That is what will happen. I don't say it if I don't mean it. I'm not going to lie to you, and I'm not going to make you any false promises. But what I can say is that I will give my absolute very best to make sure that we all get our just rewards from our city, that the mayor and his administration is held accountable, and that Trenton moves in the direction to get us back on track. Thank you.
Thank you. Yasminelli Gonzalez.
So thank you everyone for being present here today. Thank you, Reverend Harris, and thank you, Women League of Voters, for putting, everyone who had a part in putting this together. I am a grassroots person here from the city of Trenton who has always had my boots on the ground. As many of you may know me, I have always been as honest and transparent as I possibly can. I am a voice for all. As most of you know, I'm a proud Puerto Rican, like I said. by way of San Lorenzo, Puerto Rico, and also a member of Delta Sigma Theta, went to an HBCU. So I think it speaks volumes that you guys know that I am about everyone in the city of Trenton. I am not here to make a bunch of promises, and I may not always get it right, but I will do my best to be informed, to be open-minded, and make informed decisions, and govern without ego. It's about stabilizing, moving our city forward, and I'm here to work with whoever is elected, and I've teamed up with two amazing women so that we can be committed to creating a unified and thriving Trenton for us all. Thank you.
Thank you. Kadia Manuel?
I would like to say thank you to Pastor Harris, the League of Women Voters, and the cadets that were in the back hall. For those of you who didn't know me or weren't familiar with me prior to today, there's one thing you get from this. I want you to know that I'm a fighter. I fight all the time. It's something I learned when I signed up in the Army. One of my favorite Army values is personal courage. Standing up not just when it's popular, but also when it's unpopular and necessary. I spoke on fear earlier, and I got the red card, so I had to stop. But we're never truly free when fear exists. People should not be afraid to stand up when they're sexually harassed at work in City Hall. People should not be afraid to fight for a duly eligible runoff. People shouldn't be afraid to stand up for what's right. And we need leaders in place in those chambers, not just, the new generation of leadership, but those with experience. I'm a fighter. Alex is a fighter. Ty is a fighter. We're running along somebody with 2 terms of experience. There's no learning curve there. And what better way to be elected with someone who served 2 successful terms in City Hall? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Jazzy Edwards?
I want to first start by giving honor to God and saying thank you, because without him, I would not be here. I want to say thank you to Galilee and Pastor Harris for having us all and hosting this. Thank you to the League of Women Voters for having us all and organizing this, to Joyce, to Kareem Green, the JROTC. Thank you for your services. I want to say thank you to my team, my mother, who's always here with me through everything. And I want to first start saying, I am someone that has always been on the front lines in this community. I am someone that has stood up to my own peers against gun violence, and that's one of the hardest things to do. It's easy to stand up to your enemies when you're in opposition, but when you know someone, it's harder to stand up to them. So I will continue to hold everyone accountable, residents, my future fellow colleagues on that dais, and the administration, all alike. There are no favoritisms. So I just want to say I'm open-minded, I'm teachable, I am honest, I am holding myself accountable for everything, and I hope that you can trust and believe that I will carry these sentiments throughout my entire tenure, and that you will vote for me on January 24th.
Thank you.
Again, I want to thank all of you for coming. I want to thank Kaja for giving me those great accolades. But I would like to say that for the last 40 years, maybe 50, I have lived in the city of Trenton, and I have given it everything that I had, including raising my family here, paying taxes for the last 40 years in the city of Trenton on average of $10,000 a year, and you can do the math, over 40 years. We raised our kids, we sent them to Trenton High School, and it wasn't by accident, it was by design, and they achieved very well, not just for themselves and not for me or to pat myself on the shoulder, but for Trenton, New Jersey. I've done everything that this town has asked me to do. I've been an advocate, I've been a fighter for you for 40 years, and I'm asking you to give me one more chance to go back and serve on City Council. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I'd like to thank the sponsors of this event, the Focus Group on Antisocial Behavior, Community Stakeholders Committee for Public Education, and the Trenton Central High School Junior ROTC Army Cadets. I'd also like to thank the candidates for their participation today, for deciding to serve the Trenton community. Thanks to those members of the community who submitted questions. Voting is your right and responsibility. This is how we make democracy work. Vote by mail ballots will be issued to residents who permanently vote by mail and live in the city of Trenton. Other Trenton city voters may apply to vote by mail by completing a vote by mail application, which can be found under elections and vote by mail on the Mercer County Clerk's website. This vote by mail application must be received in the mail by January 17th. The deadline to walk into the Mercer County's office to pick up a vote by mail ballot is Monday, January 23rd at 3 p.m. Vote by mail ballots must be received by the Board of Elections by Election Day. Additionally, a list of secure drop box locations for your completed vote by mail ballots can be found under Elections and Vote by Mail on the Mercer County Clerk's website. There will be no in-person early voting for this runoff election. If you are not voting by mail, please remember to vote in this runoff election on January 24th. The address of your polling place is listed on your sample ballot. The polls will be open from 6 a.m. till 8 p.m. I hope you found this event an informative one, and urge your friends and neighbors to visit vote411.org for more information about the candidates. Thank you.
I'm going to keep it quick. By way of acknowledgement, I want to recognize Jenna L. Figueroa from the South Ward Council who's here, Sam Frisbee here, County Commissioner. We learned a lot. I know I have personally. Don't forget to vote. Thank you to Pastor Harris. He is going to close us out. He gave us the space today for free, did the sanitation, and has been a supporter. So our thanks to Galilee Baptist for being the host of today's program.
Commissioner Terrence Stokes is here. Commissioner Terrence Stokes.
Also, Commissioner Stokes is here, so we want to acknowledge that presence, and we thank everyone for being a part of the program.
To all of you whom are here, I appreciate your coming. I had no idea what to anticipate. I thought, if they start cussing, what do I do? If they start fighting, what else do I do? So I want you to know, I prayed on every last one of you last night. And I can attest that God did hear my prayer. Thank you for coming. Thank you for being civil. Thank you for all the wonderful questions. And you know what? I wish I lived in Trenton so I could vote for every last one of you. Did they not do a wonderful presentation? You've heard them. Now what are you going to do about it? I close with this thought. You can either stand in the dark and cuss, or you can strike a match to lead the way. We've had plenty of people who've been in these positions and done nothing. Now that you have a chance, I dare you all to get in position and don't do anything. I'm 70 next Saturday. I will treat every one of you like my own child. God bless you. Thank you for coming.
Good job, good job, good job.